down and troubled, and you need some love and care, and nothing is going right. Close your eyes and think of me, and soon I will be there to brighten up even your darkest night. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you have to do is call, and I'll be there. Yes, I will. Ain't it good to know that you've got a friend when people can be so cold? They'll hurt you and desert you and take your soul if you let them. Oh, but don't you let them. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you have to do is call, and I'll be there. Yes, I will. You've got a friend. Ain't it good to know you've got a friend? Ain't it good to know? Ain't it good to know? Ain't it good to know? Yeah, yeah. You've got a friend. We bid you welcome. In this community of radical inclusion, we make space for what you believe and what you love. Your whole self is welcome here. In this community of open-hearted inclusion for all people, we do not expect you to think a certain way or restrict yourself to one set of beliefs. We only ask that you try to live a kindly, helpful life with the dignity proper to a human being. Welcome all who believe that religion is wider than any sect and deeper than any set of opinions. Welcome all who might find in our friendship strength and encouragement for daily living. We are so grateful that you're here. My name is Ellen Greenya, and I'm the service and song leader today. My pronouns are she, her. Thank you for spending your Sunday morning with us, whether enjoying the service in person or watching online. I'd like to extend a special welcome to any visitors today. After the service, we invite you to stay for coffee and conversation downstairs in our reception hall. Our minister, Reverend Karen Madrone, is out of the pulpit today. Our guest speaker today is Barb Eglinton. Barb has been a member of UUCF since 1997. She will continue with the NVC, aka Compassionate Communication series. Please take a moment now to silence your phones, but we encourage you to share your presence with us on social media. I've got a few announcements. On August 7th, there will be a duck race fundraiser for both UUCF and CARES of Farmington. On that Wednesday afternoon, the ducks will be raced on the Rouge River in Shiawassee Park. For each duck we adopt, UUCF receives $1, and the rest of the proceeds go to CARES, who feeds 750 families in Farmington and surrounding communities. Multiple prizes are available to win, but the grand prize is $100 per week for a year of groceries from any Bush's location. The family fun starts at 3 p.m. and the race starts at about 6:15. See Barb Eglinton after the service to buy tickets to adopt rubber ducks. Today is the last day to buy tickets. Come out to Island Lake Recreation Area in Brighton on August 3rd at 9 a.m. with your family for a day at the lake among your UUCF friends. A cold picnic will be provided to enjoy throughout the day by the swimming beach. Enjoy the sand, shallow water, volleyball court, and the walking and hiking trails. This is an auction item that is open to all. If you've already bought your ticket, we look forward to seeing you, and if not, you can purchase a ticket at any time. It's a $10 donation to the church per family, and let Hope Sorensen or Nathan Whitehead know so they can plan the food. Check the UUCF website or emails for other announcements about upcoming events. In any interaction, the focus should be on identifying and expressing our needs rather than on judgments or evaluations. When we express our needs clearly and compassionately, we invite others to connect with us on a deeper level. Understanding that behind every action lies a human need allows us to foster empathy and create a space for genuine dialogue. Please join me in reciting our UUCF mission statement. We seek answers everywhere, include everyone, live with compassion. Please rise as you're willing and able for our hymn from the Teal hymnal, number 1021, Lean on Me.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here this morning to continue this exploration of NVC, or nonviolent communication, or also compassionate communication. Many different ways to say the same thing, but I'm going to be using NVC frequently just for brevity. So when I first learned about NVC, I was fascinated by how simple and profoundly life-changing it is. So it's always a joy for me to share with others. I truly believe that most of the problems that face the world today would be eliminated if everyone practiced NVC. NVC is consistent with our UU principles and values. As UUs, we believe that every person has inherent worth and dignity. We believe that each person is free to search for truth and meaning. And our values include generosity and love. And our mission statement calls us to live with compassion. So I see NVC very consistent with our UU beliefs. And practicing NVC is a way to facilitate, it's where the rubber meets the road and a way to actually practice that compassion. Today is the third session of this NVC series. How many were here for the first two sessions, or at least? Okay, good, about half. If you weren't here, no worries. I'm going to build on those concepts, but you won't be lost. I'm confident of that. So Jesse started us off the first week talking about observations, and last week Mary Johnston talked about feelings. And NVC was developed by a gentleman named Marshall Rosenberg that Jesse mentioned the first week. So I want to tell you a little bit more about Marshall. When he was about 9 years old, his family moved from Canton, Ohio to Detroit, Michigan. The second week that his family was here in Detroit, the race riots of 1943 broke out. More than 30 people were killed, and the Rosenberg family locked themselves in their house. You know, they moved to this new city, and violence is breaking out all over. And then when Marshall went to school, he was beat up for his Jewish identity. He also experienced violence in his own home. His father once beat him so badly that he was not able to go to school the next day. By contrast, Marshall's mother and uncle showed Marshall great love and a lot of compassion to his maternal grandmother, who was living with them and suffering from ALS. These two contrasting experiences prompted Marshall to ask two questions. What happens to disconnect us from our compassionate nature, leading us to act violently? And secondly, what allows some people to stay connected to that compassionate nature even under trying circumstances? Well, these two questions are what started Marshall on his lifelong journey to bring peace where he saw conflicts and to understand human nature. So NVC has these four simple concepts. We make an observation, we recognize our feelings, identify underlying needs from those feelings, and make a request. Jesse focused on observations 2 weeks ago. Does anyone remember some things about a good observation? What would be characteristics of a good observation? Anyone? You can just like. All right. It wouldn't have judgment. It wouldn't be a judging thought. It wouldn't have an evaluation or understanding what's underlying the motive of that person. There'd be no story connected to it, and there'd be no comparison to something else. A good observation would be just the facts, stating things the way that they appear to be, without adding any judgment, any story or comparison, as I said. All right, and then last week, Mary talked about feelings. Does anybody remember anything about feelings from last week? Nothing, okay. I'm sure as I say these, you'll remember them. Okay, Kurt, you have the feelings in front, you have a sheet of feelings. So yeah, there's a whole list of feelings on that sheet. So there's lots of them. There are pleasant feelings and unpleasant feelings, right? So we have pleasant feelings when our needs are being met and unpleasant feelings when our needs are not being met. But also feelings can be felt in your body. We need to get clear about our language because some feelings are not true feelings, they're faux feelings. They are feelings that project motive on the other person. So maybe I'm feeling ignored. That's really projecting that somebody's ignoring me. Or I'm feeling unappreciated. That's a faux feeling saying that somebody's not appreciating me. Real feelings are feelings that we take ownership for, like angry, mad, sad, happy. Those feelings don't depend on another person or some condition being true. They're just feelings that generate from me and I own them. Also, feelings are clues into what needs we're having. So they're our onboard radar to what our underlying needs are, because feelings arise out of needs. And today, I'm going to take a deep dive into needs. That's the topic of today's talk. So we all have needs. Who doesn't have needs? If you don't have any needs, raise your hand. So what do you call a person without needs? Dead. Dead. Exactly. All right. So if we would be dead without needs, then that means our needs are a life force. They are something that we should not be ashamed of. We should not be embarrassed about. They are what defines us. They're a gift. Marshall even said they are our divine energy. So this is the do you have a need? Okay, so this is the reason that it's so profoundly connecting when we relate to other people on the level of needs, feelings and needs. We are relating through our life, our shared life force. So as Mary stated last week, NVC is based on the premise that everything we do to meet a need. I'm standing here today to meet a need. Maybe it's a need to be seen. Maybe it's a need to have a shared reality with all of you. And you are all sitting out there to meet a need. Maybe it's a need for learning, maybe a need for finding meaning, maybe a need for discovery. So let's take a look at the needs list. So in your handout, one side is needs and the other side is feelings. And at the top of where it says needs and values, there's a few feelings that spilled over from the previous page. So those are not needs, those are feelings. The frustrated, jittery, nervous. Apparently there wasn't enough room for all the feelings that we have. All right, so take a minute to look at the needs. So the high level needs: autonomy, connection, meaning, peace, physical well-being and play, and then under there's some sub-needs. Find one or two needs that you think you might be having this morning. Okay, so those needs might get met today, or they might not. How will you know if your needs have been met? You will feel pleasant feelings. You'll feel maybe peace, happiness, understanding. If your needs are not met, you will have unpleasant feelings, maybe frustration, irritation, anxiousness. So the other premise of NVC is that all needs are universal. We all share these same needs that are listed on the sheet, but we may have them to different degrees. You may have a stronger need for adventure, and I may have a stronger need for acceptance. But we all do share these common needs. In fact, an interesting exercise that you might want to do later today is to review this list of needs and identify the top 5, your top 5. That can be an enlightening exercise. It could give you some clues into some of your behaviors. Because we all share these needs, it is at the level of needs that we can connect to each other and share compassion and find common ground. and it's especially true during conflict. When our needs are met, we feel fulfilled, satisfied, happy, pleased, as I said before. And when our needs are not met, we feel unpleasant feelings such as irritation, annoyance, upset, anxiousness. We will have unpleasant feelings. Remember from last week, our feelings, when we have unpleasant feelings, that is a clue that our needs are not being met. If you get a call from a friend that you haven't talked to in a while, I'm guessing that you would feel pleased, joyful, maybe even grateful. You would have a need being met. Let's take a look at the needs list again. What do you think what needs would have been met by that phone call? Say it louder. Connection, maybe, friendship. Yeah. Okay. On the other hand, if you get a call from your doctor that wants to discuss some test results, you would probably feel concerned, anxious, worried. You'd have unpleasant feelings because you would have needs that wouldn't be met, such as health, clarity, peace of mind. This relationship between feelings and needs means that when we can be aware of our feelings, they give us that guidance into the metness of our needs. So some facts about needs: they are universal, we all have them. Feelings arise from them. When we express what we're needing, we have a better chance of that need getting met. If we don't value our needs, others won't value them either. And remember, they're our life force, so we should value them. So looking at that needs list, you'll notice that there's some needs that aren't on the list, such as money, power, maybe a new house, a new job, a partner. Why are these needs not on the list? Because they aren't needs, they are strategies. Strategies are things that we employ to get our needs met. Bees have a need for nectar. Flowers are the strategy for delivering that nectar. Not every flower has nectar. That's not a problem for the bee. They go to another flower. Knowing the difference between needs and strategies frees us up from being locked in to getting our needs met from a single strategy or a nectar from a particular flower. I may have a need for appreciation. Getting a compliment is a strategy that meets that need. I may have a need for connection. Chatting with a friend may be the strategy that I employ to meet that need. But these are not only strategies for meeting those needs. Knowing that there are many strategies, but they are only strategies. They are not the underlying needs. And knowing there are many strategies to meet a single need, it opens up possibilities. Tom Bond, the director of the New York Center for NVC, says that for every need, there are 10,000 strategies we can employ to meet that need. That might be a bit of an exaggeration, but there isn't just one way. Being able to distinguish the difference between a need and a strategy is vital in practicing NVC. We can get attached to a particular strategy, and it can be painful if the strategy doesn't meet the need. A big part of using these tools is to find a way to handle those times by mourning a particular strategy in a particular moment. I may have my heart set on getting my need for adventure filled by taking a trip to Japan, and then a pandemic breaks out, and all travel is restricted. I'm going to have to mourn the death of that strategy, and my need for adventure will not be met at that point in time. It can be very healing to allow ourselves to feel both the sadness and the longing. Many of us have great difficulty expressing our needs. We've been taught by society to insult and criticize and judge and otherwise miscommunicate the ways that keep us apart. In conflict, both parties usually spend too much time intent on proving themselves right and the other person wrong, rather than paying attention to their own and the other person's needs. Focusing on strategies alone is limiting. Focusing on needs opens up a multitude of possibilities. In order to not confuse needs and strategies, it's important to understand that needs don't contain a reference to anybody taking a particular action. I'm going to repeat that. Needs don't contain a reference to anybody taking a particular action. Kyle, did you want to say something? Oh, you're waving. Okay, sorry. On the other hand, strategies, which may appear in the form of requests, desires, wants, and solutions, refer to specific actions being taken by specific people. It's disappointing when a strategy falls apart. It will bring up unpleasant feelings. When this happens, Marshall says that there are 4 ways that we might react. Well, I'll do this later. We might blame another person, blame ourselves, or be curious about what feelings we're having and what needs are not being met, or try to sense what feelings and needs the other person is having. You may remember from Jesse's talk that Marshall came up with the blaming choices as jackal language. Jackals are usually on the attack. Jackal language is a language of judgment. You think in terms of who's right and who's wrong. Rather than using jackal language, Marshall suggested using giraffe language. Giraffe language is being curious and empathetic. Remember, giraffes have one of the largest hearts of any land animal, so that large heart can be thought of as empathy. And they have those long necks that allow them to look into the distance and see many strategies rather than locking into one strategy. So Marshall calls judging others as jackal ears out and judging ourselves as jackal ears in. And he calls being curious about other people's feelings and needs as giraffe ears out, and being curious about our own feelings and needs as giraffe's ears in. So during conflict, our first instinct is to blame. The NVC journey is to transition from blame to compassion, from jackal to giraffe. Judging others prevents us from truly understanding them. Stay curious and open-hearted instead. Expressing needs can be frightening. We may find it embarrassing. We may think that we need to prove that we've earned the right to have a need. We may beat around the bush rather than explicitly stating our needs. I can say personally, I struggle with this. In my upbringing, I was made to believe that expressing needs was impolite or it was showing a weakness. Expressing needs is the most difficult part of NVC for me. NVC is simple, but it is not easy. It takes practice. And Marshall gave us this formula to use, which again is simple but not easy. We state an observation. When I observed this, I felt X because I needed Y, and make a request, which Jesse's going to talk about next week. Another tool is called a T diagram. This is something that you can do after the fact, after an upsetting experience happened. So you don't have to be thinking on your feet and thinking in the moment. It's a way that you can practice NVC on your own time. So you write your observation, again without judgment, then list your feelings on one side and then your needs on the other. So for example, I could have an observation. He ignored my suggestion. Wait a minute, I remember last week Mary said that ignored was her favorite faux feeling. Let me clean up my language. My observation might be, I made a suggestion and my boss did not say anything in response. When this happened, I felt disappointed, disheartened, perturbed, frustrated. So I'm using my feelings list here, because these feelings are not ones that we use in everyday language. So these, I've put mine in a special waterproof thing to keep it safe. But so when you're doing you're sitting down and you're doing your T diagram, you can have this feelings and needs chart with you, because you're not going to walk around with them, right? So I, found those feelings and identified them. Then I turn it over and I look, what needs were not being met when I was having those feelings? Maybe it was a need for consideration, contribution, shared reality. So the feelings and needs are, these lists are super helpful. At this point, I might think about different strategies that I can employ to get those needs met. I might think about what request I could make. Or I could turn the T diagram around and try to be curious about my boss, what was going on for him. So I'm thinking about what might have been going on. Maybe he was feeling anxious or flustered. Maybe he had a need for efficiency and progress, and responding to my suggestion would have slowed down his process. This is called empathy guessing. It can really open your heart and soften your feelings. This is a great way to practice NVC. You can practice it by yourself or with others. My friend Mary Johnston and I get together occasionally to do empathy sharing. It's really great. There's an example. In the book called Compassionate Communication by Tom Bond, the director of the Center for NVC in New York. This is a story that shows how NVC can just reframe your thinking. The story, is that the right one? Yeah, is called He Should Call Me. When my son left for college a few years back, it was the first time that he was away from home for an extended period of time. Before that, whenever he was away, he would call me and we would touch base. As the semester progressed, it seemed that he would call me less and less, so I started calling him. Sometimes I would call 3 or 4 times and get no response from him. This became a point of contention for us. I wanted him to call me, and he rarely did. After a while, I became quite angry with him. It got to the point that even after the few times that he did call, I was in a state of annoyance and anger, and we were disconnected. Both of us were unhappy. The situation seemed to be creating a huge rift in our relationship. At one point, it occurred to me that it was not the situation that was creating the rift, it was my anger. That came from the thought that he should call me. Then I realized this. When I realized this, I looked into myself to see what feelings and needs were underneath my should thinking. I became aware that the should was based on my belief that if he loved me, he would call me. I was wanting more love and connection. I also became aware that I simply missed him. Companionship. I was missing a need for companionship. And I was worried. I wanted to know that he was okay. So my need for peace of mind. When I thought back to my college days, I remembered how important it was for me to be my own man, to have a sense of choice and self-reliance. It occurred to me that my should thinking was not only getting in the way of our connection, but my need for contribution and acceptance regarding my son's needs for choice and growth. From this awareness, I realized that nothing was wrong. It occurred to me that, of course, he still loved me, and although I worried about his well-being, I could choose to understand that he was fine, even if he didn't call. In fact, I realized that his not calling was a sign that he was indeed fine. This recognition of my should thinking gave me access to a different perspective that changed the nature of my days and my relationship with my son. Over and over, this is a perceived practice, distinguishing and translating from should, shouldn't thinking. The more I do it, the more harmony, connection, and compassion I experience. So he was having empathy for his son. You can practice empathy in real time with someone else. You can do it in many ways, just being silent and listening and giving them your undivided attention. You can offer a reflection. I heard you say that you had a good time at the fair. Is that accurate? You could guess on feelings and needs. You could say, I'm guessing that you're feeling sad about that. It sounds like you're feeling frustrated. Or you could even guess about a need, saying something like, would you have liked more autonomy in that situation? I'm guessing that you might have wanted respect in that situation. Even guessing the wrong thing can be helpful because they'll tell you that your guess was wrong, and then you'll have a better understanding. You could even make a direct inquiry, like, what do you want me to know about this? If you do this, you will be amazed at what happens. You will see the other person feel a sense of relief, and you may even feel tension in your own body releasing. The person may have been ranting and going on, and they'll just stop talking because they'll have been hurt. You might want to even say, is there more you want to say about that? Empathy for others is important, but also empathy for ourselves is just as important. We need to be able to connect to our own feelings and needs. And a way to do this is to take a deep breath, notice any tension or resistance in your body. Give yourself permission to feel what you feel. Sometimes when we engage in self-reflection, we may discover that our thoughts are not as pure as we would have liked. We may find that ourselves judging. It is important to remember that everything we do to meet a need, even judging. It's important to be compassionate to ourselves at those times and connect with the need and that this judgment is bringing up. It's through the process of meeting ourselves with compassion that we build the capacity to offer compassion to others. Marshall believed that every criticism, every judgment, diagnosis, and expression of anger is a tragic expression of an unmet need. So your homework for this week is when you hear criticism, judgment, diagnosis, anger coming from yourself or someone else, be curious what needs are going on underneath. Thank you.
Your joy is multiplied in its sharing. Your sorrow is lightened in its sharing. The stories that we are sharing weave together to strengthen our community as we care for one another. May we be reminded here of our highest aspirations. May we know that we are not isolated beings, but connected by our needs to the universe, to this community, and to each other. You're welcome to come pick up a stone or stones from the table in front of me here. Infuse them with your joy or sorrow and place them in the singing bowl where the energy will ripple out to be held by all of us. If you'd like to share something important on your heart, please come up and speak directly into that microphone over there. If you have submitted a joy or sorrow by text, it will be read aloud by me. I don't have any today. And all are welcome to participate in any of these ways.
I have some CDs I want to share with you. They're downstairs. One of my neighbors
3 candles for the intentions that rest in the silent sanctuary of our hearts. One for the joys, one for the sorrows, and one for the strength of the gathered community that can support you and bring you peace. Please rise as you're willing and able for our hymn from the Teal hymnal, number 1037, We Begin Again in Love.
For remaining silent when a single voice would have made a difference.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time that our fears have made us rigid and inaccessible.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time we have struck out in anger without just cause.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time our greed has blinded us to the needs of others.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. This beloved community, this refuge, this place of worship and wonder exists because we make it so. With our contributions, the gifts of our times, our skills, our food, our love, our laughter, and our money. Please join me in giving so that we may continue to have a place that fortifies and challenges us in these trying and troubled times. You are now invited to participate in the blessing of giving as the ushers come among you to accept the gifts of the congregation. You may also give online via the QR code on the back of the order of service. Thank you. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. There's nothing you can do that can't be done. Nothing you can sing that can't be sung. Nothing you can say, but you can learn how to play the game. It's easy. There's nothing you can make that can't be made. Nothing you can save that can't be saved. Nothing you can do, but you can learn how to be you in time. It's easy. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. There's nothing you can know that isn't known. Nothing you can see that isn't shown. Nowhere you can be that isn't where you're meant to be. It's easy.
will close with a quote from Marshall Rosenberg. If I'm using nonviolent communication, I never, never, never hear what somebody thinks about me. If you never hear what somebody thinks about you, you'll live longer. You'll enjoy life more. Here's the truth. The truth is that when somebody's telling you that you're wrong, the truth is they have a need that isn't getting met. You should hear that they're in pain. Don't hear their analysis.
Mm-hmm.